Okay. Well, there we go. All right then. So, welcome to anybody that is watching this and repeat, or perhaps even those that might join live. This week I've had Ollie in doing work experience. He's my 16-year-old son.
How you doing, everyone?
And he's done a week with us, which has been great. But one of the things that he has wanted to know more about is email marketing, which is what I do at work. And so I thought it would be a good idea to stream this conversation. And then anyone else who is interested in email marketing as a complete beginner would be able to follow the conversation. That's the idea, anyway.
So
what questions have you got then?
Well, I've got a few questions actually. So obviously, email marketing is a very big topic, isn't it? So you've got many sections of it. So if I wanted to, for example, give out marketing things not on a business, more of like something personal, could I do that?
Well, you can do personal email marketing, yeah. So you can do anything you want, really, as long as you've got a list of email addresses. You can send emails to those people. If it's personal, there's no legislation, there's no compliance. So if it's you sending an email to Joe and 6 of your other mates, then there's nothing that stops that. It's when you're doing it from a commercial point of view that there's legislation and compliance and stuff like that you have to adhere to.
Right. Okay. Yeah. No, that makes sense then. So, for example, if I had a Facebook page about lawnmowers, right?
Yeah.
I really want to try and find some enthusiastic lawnmowers in London.
Yeah.
Could you do that?
So you can identify people that have got an interest. They call it lifestyle interests. So, for instance, people with an interest in lawnmowers probably would have an interest in gardening. So,
like a section of that.
Yeah. So it's a subsection. So you would probably approach a company that maybe does an exhibition, a gardening exhibition, or a publishing company that's got readers that are interested in gardening.
So I'm guessing that's how you do it then. You can't exactly find a pinpoint amount of people, because obviously that's almost impossible unless you know the person.
Well, no, you can do. So going to exhibition organisers and adverts of publications is one way of doing it.
Yeah.
But they will only have quite general information. What you could also do is run a Facebook campaign or a different type of campaign. So
and try and get people through social media.
Yeah. So, for instance, you could run a campaign saying, what is the best or the top 10 lawnmowers for 2019. And then people click on that, they go through to a landing page where they put in their email address and they get a publication or a document you've prepared.
I mean,
reviewing the top 10. And then you'd get their email address and you'd be able to send them information. And you know that they're people interested in lawn mowing.
Okay, so I've got a few more questions, right? I've actually got quite a few, yeah. So you just said you'd maybe start a Facebook page, but let's say I would come up to you through email movers, and I'd say, listen, I don't really have time to do my own thing, okay? I'd like to just ask you to try and just find me some people's emails that are interested in, I don't know, keyboards or something, right? Would you start a Facebook page yourself? Would you go about it a different way?
So we don't typically tend to create data for people from Facebook. No, that's one way in which they could do it themselves. What we do is we work with a number of different publishers, and those publishers, whether they're organising event organisers or whether or not they've actually got a magazine you can buy from a shelf, and they've obviously got a list of people that have subscribed to that and given their email address, we would normally work with them as a broker. So we take their data in.
Yeah.
We make sure that data is structured properly and so that it's fit for purpose. And then we take sets of that data and we we can run the client's campaign to that data. So the client will tell us what it is that they're selling, what it is that they're wanting to say to these people, and then we will communicate with the publisher to make sure that that email goes out to those people on the date and time that they want it to go.
Right. Have
And
you ever
then-
tried anything with like? Because I think you have. I mean, I haven't really asked you before, right? But have you ever tried anything with like adverts on websites that may be related to the person's interests?
Well, that's what Facebook is, isn't it? It's just a website with an advert.
I don't know. Like, I'm not too sure about this, right? But is it with Facebook? If you buy ads,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter where it's advertised. So if
And-
I buy an advert for, let's say I'm a company that sells.
Don't
iPad
forget you're
cases.
falling out of the screen over there. So just come in a little bit. Yeah. Well, not that far.
So let's say I'm a business that
Yeah.
sells iPad cases.
Yeah.
Right. If I ask Facebook to advertise my product,
Yeah.
do they advertise it on pages to do with iPads, or do they advertise it everywhere?
You can choose exactly who you want it to go to.
So that's how you kind of. So you do that here at Email Movers.
No, we don't do the Facebook ads.
What ads do you do?
We just do email.
Okay. So would you? I mean, have you ever done it?
We have done Facebook ads in the past, yes, and we do it for ourselves, but we don't do it for our clients. Not at the moment.
Okay. I mean, if a client came up to you and specifically said, "I'd really, really appreciate it if we had
No.
some adverts,"
No, we're an email marketing agency, so we don't do any Facebook. All I was saying
Well,
there
no,
is
it makes sense. I mean, if you do email and you know how to do it, then obviously you should go ahead and do that.
Yeah.
So.
I didn't want to confuse you. I mean, the only reason I said you could run Facebook ads is because that's a way of building your own email list. Because you started off asking, how do I get people?
Yeah.
that write
So
warm
if you
mails?
can, if people themselves can go ahead and do Facebook ads,
Yeah.
why do they come to you to do email?
So it's a great question. So when you run a Facebook ad, you're going to pay. There's a couple of different reasons why they would come to us.
Well, yeah, I'm listening. I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So number one, you pay per click on Facebook. And if that is a hot audience, then you may be paying £3, £4, £5 per click to get them to go through to your landing page. The problem is that when they get through to your landing page, maybe only 1 in 100 is going to register.
so it's
So
almost
you-
like there's a big risk of losing money.
There's a huge risk of spending money. I mean, if you really know what you're doing on Facebook, then you can get it working and you can create a list. The second thing, you can create a list cost effectively. The second thing is also the time. So it may take you 3, 4, 5 weeks to create a list.
Yeah.
Whereas the publishers that we work with, the publishers, the other different types of companies that control this type of data, they have got the list already done, and they've got huge volumes, and they've got people who have expressed an interest in receiving information from you about gardening. So it's much more cost effective, and it's much faster.
Yeah. So you as a person,
Yeah.
take away the business.
Yeah.
You as a person would recommend email more than doing it on Facebook.
And no, I usually suggest, when I'm talking to people, I usually suggest to do both. So you build
Yeah,
your
because
own.
you've got two ways of getting people in. Is that right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, you've got lots of different ways. So, like you've been doing this week, some cold calling.
Yeah. So you
So
try.
you want to
You're basically trying to advise people to do as many ways possible of getting these people
Yeah.
instead of just relying on one thing.
absolutely.
But the reason you are doing email, obviously that's one thing, but you're just doing that to help people out with it.
Yeah. So,
So yeah,
well,
no, that makes sense.
yeah.
You know?
I mean, I guess we focus mostly on business to business here. So
Yeah.
that's businesses selling to other businesses. It's about 80% of our business. 20% of our business is businesses selling to consumers.
Hmm.
So selling to people like you and me, if we want to buy some headphones from shop, we're a consumer.
Yeah.
But if we're a business buying an office cleaning product or something like that, we're a business selling to a business. So businesses sell to business. We call that B2B.
And because obviously there's more people on Facebook, not businesses.
Yeah, that's
There's
right.
there's a lot more people. Like what's 2
Consumers.
billion people?
Something like that, yeah.
Okay, so So if you're trying to do business to business, let's say you're a company that only wants to do business to business,
Yeah,
Facebook wouldn't be your target.
that's a good question. Yeah, so a lot of people consider Facebook to be purely B2C,
Yeah.
business to consumer.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
it isn't. There's a lot of businesses on Facebook. It's just reaching them is much more difficult. But you can do it because I am a consumer, but I also have a job.
Well, exactly, and I'm sure many other people are in the same position as you.
Yeah, so you could advertise to me. Let's say, for instance, I love email marketing. Well, I'm in email marketing groups on Facebook, and you could run a campaign to me about email marketing, knowing that I'm a consumer, but I also have an interest in email marketing.
So it is mainly all done through groups then on Facebook.
No, not necessarily.
But it's a good way of finding people. Is that what you're saying?
Facebook groups is a good way of doing it. Yeah, I mean, a lot of the questions that you're asking me are all about Facebook, which has nothing to do with what we do.
No, I mean,
what about email?
that.
What about email?
Email, yeah. So with email, let's say.
Okay.
Right.
This is it. We're getting into it now. We're getting into it.
Let's say I receive a few emails from your company, right? And I'm just like, oh God, really don't want to receive these emails anymore.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you ever had that? I'm sure you must.
Yeah. You can unsubscribe
it's
whenever you want. You can just click on the unsubscribe link. Yeah.
And I'll instantly.
Yeah, and you'll never receive another email ever again. Ever. That's it. You're finished. You're off.
Well,
even if you
is it
try
just a one click?
Even if you try and resubscribe, you will never get another email. It will not be allowed onto the list. You are gone.
That's good then, isn't it?
Not necessarily.
Well,
but for you, sure, but not necessarily for the business. You want to avoid people unsubscribing. So your first question is about the worst part of the industry. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, absolutely. One click and you've unsubscribed and you'll never get yourself on this ever again.
Okay. But then again, it's neutral at that point, isn't it? If you're sending an email, someone doesn't want it, it's all neutral behavior. Whereas if you send an email and you don't have that unsubscribe button, people start to hate your company. So it's good almost that you have an unsubscribe.
Oh yeah, well it's also required by,
especially from places like other companies. I'm not going to name any.
No,
but I receive emails.
Yeah, don't
daily.
name any companies. Crikey. Yeah,
they're any
it's
bigger
the
ones.
worst. It's the worst. You've zoned in straight away on the worst part of the industry, which is companies that send out emails that don't have an unsubscribe. We don't do anything like that.
Well,
absolutely, millions of miles away from that. Do you have any other questions about email marketing?
Questions down.
Okay.
I mean, I'm completely new to this. I have no.
Yeah. Well, we've done Facebook. And
we've
done
gone over two things that you don't do.
Subscribe.
So let me start talking about things you do.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So, how many emails could I send out through you at once?
Okay, so that's a good question. So we have a database of 700,000 business contacts.
Is that worldwide?
No, just in the UK.
Just in the UK?
Yeah.
That's mad. How many do you have a figure
Well, let
for
me answer your
worldwide?
question. So we can go out to, so we could theoretically send those whole 700,000 at once. That's the maximum number of emails that we would be able to send if you were targeting decision makers in companies in the UK.
So I'm guessing there's no regulation on how many, because for example, LinkedIn, you can't send too many messages at once, or they'll, whereas email, I'm guessing it's not really regulated like that. So you can just send as many as
That's
once.
absolutely right.
Is that right?
So email is completely independent from any company. So email is not owned by Microsoft or Google or Facebook. So they cannot put limitations on it like you can with Facebook or LinkedIn or Twitter and stuff like that. Which is why obviously it is it's very popular, because when you're using a platform like Facebook to do direct messaging, or LinkedIn actually will limit how many messages you can send, and if you start to send over that, they'll want money.
Well, yeah,
so
well,
charge you.
I've seen from buying premium on LinkedIn,
Yeah,
things like that.
Yeah.
You can't search too many stuff if you have premium.
Yeah,
Whereas,
so there are certain things you'll do.
Yeah.
And at certain points, they'll want some money off you, whereas email is not like that.
So because of that, technically, then you don't need more than one email address that sends them all. Because of, with like other things, if you wanted to send 1 million emails, or let's say not emails, let's say you want to send 1 million messages, and let's say there's a website that only allows you to send 100, you'd have to make way like loads of accounts to do it. Whereas, like you said, there isn't a limit, so you could technically send 70,000 emails from one email address.
Yeah, absolutely. And we
And
do.
is that what you do?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we send from one email address. And the reason we do that is a couple of reasons. So you can see who it's coming from.
Yeah.
So there's no confusion. And also so that you can set up different rules. So when an email comes in, if it's come from Email Movers or the company associated with it, you can put it into a folder and stuff like that. But there's another reason, which is the reputation of that email address that we're sending from. If we get a lot of complaints, the reputation of that email address drops. And if it drops, the platforms won't deliver our emails anymore. So we have to make sure that the reputation of our email address that we're sending from is good, which means that we have to send emails that are relevant. If we don't, they go into spam folders or they don't get delivered at all, which is something that we struggle with. If the message we're sending is not relevant to the target audience, which is why we've done the project this week on artificial intelligence about trying to make messages more relevant and whether or not we can use artificial intelligence to help us do that, which is a challenge.
So, I mean, that sounds great, but do you think the future of emailing people is through AI? Thinking about 50 to 100 years in the future,
well,
do you think that emailing certain people will all be done through AI, or do you think something else will happen? Or do you think it'll stay the same?
So I think that bots and programs that use a level of artificial intelligence will become more and more popular, yes, because the challenge at the moment in the industry is that when we send an email, it's not relevant to everybody. But if we can use a program that is able to tell us or predict who will be finding this message relevant, then that will help the industry. So anything that helps the industry would be perfect. Let's say, for instance, you have got a business like this, you've got an office space, you're spending thousands and thousands and thousands of pounds a year on business rates, and a company figures out that they can save you money on your business rates by presenting an appeal to the local council. If they send you a message and that message is going to be relevant if you're having difficulties paying that business rates tax bill that year, it's going to be relevant, isn't it?
Well,
so you're going to open it, you're going to click through, and you're going to talk to that person. However, if you're renting space in an office, then it's not going to be relevant because you don't pay business rates necessarily.
Exactly.
If it's a serviced office, so we could find situations where artificial intelligence is using these different data sets to understand if this message is going to be relevant. If it isn't, we don't send it. If it is, we do send it. And I think those solutions will become more and more common here.
Okay. So this is completely unrelated to what we were just talking about, okay?
Okay, unrelated.
So, yeah.
Okay.
Because we've talked about the bots. I don't think there's much more to talk about that. So
okay,
I'm going to a new topic where if I was a company and I came to you and asked you to you just advertise my thing, right? I've got what I want you to email. I've got all that stuff, but I send it over to you and you look at it and you think, no one's going to click on this.
Yeah.
Would you recommend the person to change it?
Yeah, sure. I mean, we will go back to clients. I mean, we have received email campaigns from clients that are not fit for purpose. Typically, what might have happened is that they've tried Facebook advertising, they've tried Google advertising, they've tried different means and it's not working. And then somebody said email, and they've come to us with a campaign that they think is okay, and it's not. What's more important than anything else, really, when we're doing email is the offer. And what is it that you're saying to the target audience? Because if you're saying something to the target audience that's not relevant, no one will respond. It's not because the data's bad. It's not because the images are being hosted too slowly. It's not because your email's not rendering. It's because your offer is not relevant. A really good example of this would be, we did a campaign for a large automotive company. They were launching a super little car. They did a 48-hour test drive, and it went absolutely bonkers. There was a huge open rate, huge click-through rate, and a huge registration rate, which was people registering cars following the 48-hour test drive. That same company then came back to us about 3 months later, said this has been a phenomenal result. We want to run another campaign, but this time we want to put all of our cars in email. They had 12 cars in the range. And so we didn't actually think that it was a bad idea. We allowed them to put it all in. They sent it out and they got nothing. And that's because they'd gone too broad. They'd forgotten that the message that they'd originally made relevant was that people wanted a 48-hour test drive. So they were picking a car up on Friday, dropping it off on the Monday. They were having it over the weekend, and they liked it so much they bought it. An email just telling those people, these are our 12 cars, it bombed because the message had changed, the offer had changed. It wasn't the data, it wasn't the images, it was just the offer that had changed.
So
you're going further and further back. Do you want to come a little bit closer?
Sure.
Okay. Any other questions?
Do ask.
Go on.
I have quite a few. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you'd like to cut short, that's fine. Because obviously, there's 21-minute long video on YouTube.
Well, I'll tell you what. Let's do one last question because this. I mean, YouTube's all right. We can always make it smaller. We can do some bite-sized ones for LinkedIn.
Yeah.
But
live stream on Facebook.
This one can go on. This would actually 20. Let's go to like 25 minutes.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Go on. Then.
Sure.
A couple more questions.
So you were talking about, for example, just like the car. You know, their offer was 48 hours.
Yeah.
Well, have you ever thought about doing almost like like working with your company? The first time you work with us, it's not as expensive.
Oh, absolutely. So a lot of the email campaigns that we run for companies that work have got an offer that is time limited. So, if you click through on this link now, you're going to get 50% off this application or this product if you do it in the next 24 hours. And that is a really popular way of breaking, breaking through and getting people to register for your product. Definitely.
Well, for me, definitely it works because if I see something and it's a good offer and it's limited time, it makes me think faster.
Especially if it's relevant.
And makes me remember it because sometimes, if the company's doing a deal that I'm not, like okay on, and they don't remind me, that's like I'm not. No way I'm going to buy it.
Yeah.
Whereas
you're falling out of the screen again. Yeah. And last question.
Okay, last question.
2 minutes.
Last question. So, with this last question, I'm going to ask you if you've ever had a really, really unsuccessful campaign.
Okay. Yeah.
Or someone's asked you and it's just not.
Yeah.
It's not gone well at all.
Yeah.
Do you blame them, or do you blame them for saying? Do you blame their their thing they're advertising, or do you blame what they're advertising for, like where they're wanting it?
Okay, so we don't typically blame anybody. What we look for is why the campaign's failed. And the campaign,
learn from your mistake.
Well,
not your
we
mistake.
Just obviously we want to try and make our customers.
Yeah. Okay.
Want to try and make the customers happy. So a campaign can fail for a number of different reasons. The first reason is the offer or the message isn't strong enough. Okay, so
you said that, about the cars. Yeah.
The second is that we're sending it to the wrong people, so it's irrelevant. People who are getting the message, it's not relevant. So, for instance, if you're selling men's shaving gel and you send that to a group of women, it's not relevant to them. It's not really unless they're buying it as a gift for their partner. It's not going to be relevant. So the results aren't going to be very good. Another thing is that a lot of people now are using mobile phones to read their emails because they have got their email accounts connected to their phones. But if your email does not look proper, it doesn't look good enough on a mobile phone. People they don't like to pinch and zoom. They just get rid of it.
So you want an optimized email for all devices.
Yeah, and they call that responsive.
Well, I mean, especially on iPads, if the YouTube app didn't exist, I'd have to go onto the website and it would look terrible, obviously, because it's not on a computer.
And there you go. And when you click through from the email to the website also has to be responsive. So it's got to look at what device you're using and then rejig the images so that it looks okay. I mean, there are other reasons why a campaign also might fail, but those are typically the biggest reasons. Either their offer is not relevant to the target audience, or they haven't considered the device the person's opening it up on.
Okay. Well,
Okay, is that it?
yeah, that's
Great.
good.
Okay, well,
Thank
I
you for
hope
answering
that
stuff.
yeah, all right then. I hope that helped anybody that might watch this. And if you've got any questions, don't hesitate to put comments below. You can also subscribe to this channel, and I try and put a video up every Friday. We've been doing some stuff this week that is all around bots, and we're going to try and put some information up on that next week.
Yeah, next week, Friday, you better watch it.
Next Friday.
I'm editing it.
Yeah, he's editing it. Yeah. And also, I'm on Twitter and Facebook, so you can
Go
follow
into
me
the
there.
description. All the links will be there.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Anything else? Is that good? We all good?
I think that's good.
Okay,
just
brilliant.
next Friday, the AI video that we're doing. We've been working on it all week. It should be really good. So if you're watching this now, then make plans to watch it.
Cool. Thanks.
Cool.
Bye.
Bye.